We're back, people, and today we're breaking down film on Aaron Brewer, Miami Dolphins center, free agent signing last year. And the reason I wanted to make this video is because I think people still kind of undervalue what he brought to Miami last season. He's just an absolute perfect scheme fit, glove fit for what they needed. Really, really good athlete, and as the title in this video suggests, he is an absolute weapon. Which usually you don't say about offensive linemen. You don't call them weapons, but he is a weapon for Miami when you look at exactly what he was asked to do with his ability out in space. He was constantly just pancaking linebackers, DBs on those screens, on these reverses, going on block, looking like a tight end moving out in space, but obviously being a better blocker than a tight end. It was really impressive. And another reason I really wanted to talk about Brewer is because with free agency around the corner, I think Brewer is a great example of a value free agent signing. This is, to me, the type of people that you're looking for in free agency signing. You're not looking to, break the bank. They didn't break the bank for Brewer. They got into a solid contract. When he was coming from the Titans, he wasn't, seen very highly. I know the Titans fans didn't like Brewer. They thought he was bad. But this, to me, is all about why situation matters. The Tennessee Titans held onto the ball a lot on, in pass protection. It kind of exposed Brewer that he wasn't the greatest pass protector. They did a lot of true pass sets. But coming into Miami, they can minimize those weaknesses because they do a lot of play action. They do a lot of jump setting, sliding. So, he wasn't asked to really, they get rid of the ball very quickly. So he wasn't asked to hold on to these blocks as long. He wasn't asked to make his high-level blocks in pass protection. And that wasn't a problem for him when he was on the Dolphins pretty much all last year. He never really gave up too many pressures or sacks. It was a, pretty low amount, especially for someone who struggled with it in years prior. And then you had to maximize his skill set because he's really good in outside zone and really good in screens. With his ability in space, either to climb or reach D linemen, and then also just taking great angles. And you get to see him do those types of things in Miami at a very, a much higher level. So you were able to maximize his strengths and minimize his weaknesses, and that to me is exactly what you're looking for. A guy that maybe didn't get a chance to do that as the other team, so you get a nice value on him because he would have been more expensive if he was coming from Miami going elsewhere, but they probably wouldn't have gotten the same production out of him. So here you get to see him get to the next level, one on a linebacker very quickly. And it's not like he has a slight leverage advantage. Usually when this guy's if this was a one tech and he had to cut off a one tech and reach him, that would be easy, when the guy's on the backside of the play, he has a natural leverage. But when there are slight leverage advantage you have and it's a linebacker, there's a lot more space to cover, and usually the linebacker will be deploying attack. But he gets off the ball so fast, especially as a center where you have to snap the ball, get upfield, he's uncovered here, and he cuts him off so explosive, and he's able to put him to the ground. I know he's not the biggest guy, he's not gonna destroy D lineman every play, but he plays with some toughness and core strength. I think is better than people think, especially once he gets out there, and he takes great angles to the point of attack, just putting 44 on the ground. Very big part. If you watch a lot of the Dolphins' big plays in the run game and on screens, Brewer usually played a really effective part cutting someone off at the second level. That's why he's such a valuable part to the team. And here he is just reaching, sticking with it, and then another pancake on a D lineman. He gets a little help on the double team, so they're cutting off, they're working in combo. Gets the help from Robert Jones, and now he's able to get his hat across. Is that what you want? You work out horizontally, he's very good. And now he's straining, remain to cut off, drive those legs, and finish it to the ground. Love that work from Brewer. Really effective. He stayed healthy, which is a big part for this Dolphins team because they've struggled to stay healthy. Brewer was one of the few guys that just played the whole season. And then there's reps like this. I love this. This is a situation this guy's lined up in a 1/2i, even kind of a 2, more of a 2i-ish here. This guy has natural leverage. He's to the play side of this, so he has to cut him off with barely any help from Isaiah Wynn. But look at the angle he takes here. That first step is kind of backwards. Everyone else is completely horizontal. His step is actually backwards because he knows if he takes a slight backwards angle. This is why sometimes when people are oh, he got pushed around. No, sometimes he actually did this on purpose because in this system, sometimes it's less about creating displacement, especially at center, and it's more about cutting people off and positioning. So it's okay to give up a step here and allow him to get into the backfield a little bit because it's a toss play. You're going to the outside here, and you just want to cut him off. And now he can't get down the field horizontally. So he does a great job getting his hat across, great lateral quickness. He understands the situation and is able to get exactly where he needs to be. So this guy has no chance to get down the line of scrimmage. Look at him just seal this off it's absolutely nothing. I think if you get some better guards in the system, the Dolphins kind of have the pieces at tackle and center to get the job done, at least at the starting spots, to get the job done, at least as a run blocking unit. Because look at Brewer get out here on a safety, to the play side. Rap does bump down here, but he still has the leverage advantage. This is out to a safety, out in space, down in the red area, and he just gets on him, blows it up, sticks with it, doesn't allow Rap to get out there on the touchdown run from Achan. And he's just really, really good on these plays, man. Really effective weapon. And this is like why he's a weapon, because a lot of everyone else is like playing up front, but he's constantly having to get out there and block out in space. Like, a lot of times it would end up being Brewer and Armstead, which made sense just based on how people are aligned. But they would do this where Brewer would climb, Armstead would climb, while everyone else is kind of, base blocking or just like reaching guys up front. And Brewer just, man, it's so fun to watch him go to work on those plays. And then screens, man. He was blowing people up on screens. Look at him just take 21 out. And he did this on, like, he had on a Jonnu Smith touchdown screen versus the Colts. I'm not showing. He had a big block. The touchdown versus the Packers to H-in on a screen. He had a big block to spring that for a touchdown. Another one, as well. Like, he had so many. He was so important on a lot of those screen touchdowns to players. And here's just, even the ones that were non-touchdowns that you'll see. But just out here blowing people up. Oh my God. Absolutely destroys him. Catch him off guard, which is what you want to see. And H-in will work off of it. And then it's just stuff like this out in space. Like, you should not be able to move this well for an offensive lineman. They run the reverse, get the ball into, I believe, Jalen Wright's hands. But look at him just move out in space so effortlessly and gets hands on a DB. Like, obviously, Jalen Wright gets tackled behind him, so it doesn't make too much of a difference, like, with his block. But, like, it's just the fact that he's moving like this, like, it's effortless. And he gets a block, too, which he's very good. Like, a lot of guys struggle out in space. Like, one, he has great body control and balance. I think there's a lot of guys, like, linemen that are super athletic. Sometimes they still struggle to get blocks out in space because these DBs and linebackers are a little more shifty and they'll avoid him, and, like, they can't change direction, slow down, take great angles. Brewer can do all of those things and match people. Like, he's constantly getting great blocks on these guys out in space and either putting them on the ground or sustaining and sticking with it, which is a tough ask. This is another nice play. I like seeing him, dig this person out of the nose right here. He digs him out. Dolphins, running more some interior style runs, which is not common for them. And I like to see him dig him out. He doesn't even get help from Eichenberg here. It completely, moves that guy down multiple gaps, seal him out of the play. That's really nice to see. Wouldn't say that's like his biggest like strength, but there's definitely some of that on film as well, which is always helpful for, versatility within the scheme. Obviously, he fits what your main scheme is, but being able to do some other things is very, very nice as well. And here he is just on a screen again. This time blowing up a linebacker, Quincy Williams, who's a good player, putting him on the ground. He's really just a weapon, man. He was like, I feel like he was Achan's like personal, like, chauffeur, or like he was his personal fullback, honestly, on these plays. Like, hey, just follow Brewer out in space. And he ends up getting the big block, and it was just constant. Here's another one. This was the Cardinals touchdown. He just like gets a body on people, and like sometimes he's not putting people on their backs, but like these guys don't want to take him on. Like, there's so many examples of like guys either just like accepting it and like not really trying to make the tackle, or just taking a super wide angle to avoid him, and then they take themselves out of the play. That's like the athleticism that really showed off. But look at just natural for him, cutting off a linebacker. Huge leverage advantage. You give him a leverage advantage like this where he can instantly go to the next level. Like, he doesn't have to work a combo and climb. He can just instantly climb. He's cutting off the linebacker, the 41 here, every single time. It's just very, very easy. Here he is, reaching the nose, good feet, stick with it, strain, sustain, and doesn't allow the guy down to get down there laterally and make a play. It's very, very good work. It's just constant. Like here, like he cuts off 44, takes a really good angle to get in front of him, and now 44 tries to, cut underneath him, and he's able to, hit that right hand stab, get your body back in positioning. Don't allow him to undercut you like that. You don't have to. Sometimes it's not about, like, we've seen the examples of him like bullying people, but sometimes that's not what it's always about. You don't always need to just destroy someone. Sometimes it's literally just about your positioning, especially on these blocks out in space. Because if everyone's working in tandem, that's kind of what you're looking for. Obviously, displacement helps a lot too, but like here's a good example of him climbing up, because this guy doesn't get a ton of movement, so he has to dip and rip. When you're climbing like this, like, he knows, like, boom, they're running, like, to the left here, outside zone. So he knows Robert Jones has the leverage advantage. He doesn't need to help, like, double team and then climb. If the way that would work is if Jones was going to be the guy that climbed, he would help the double team so Brewer could hook. But that's not what they're going for here. Jones has the natural leverage advantage. And then Brewer dips and rips underneath. This is very important. You got to be able to dip and rip past players and still get out there. And he's able to cut off Fred Warner, a very good linebacker, and then hang on to that block. Like, those are not easy. here's another example, just getting out to linebackers out in space like it's nothing, man. It's just constant. And here's where the guy tries to avoid him because he gets out so fast. Another example where he's just out of there, rip through. Look at this linebacker. He doesn't even really block him, but he completely takes him out of the play because the linebacker's just trying to avoid him. He doesn't want to get onto it. And that's like really his main stuff. We'll look at some of like the pass protection stuff here. It's a lot of jump setting. Like they're half sliding to the left, get on him and quickly. This is where Brewer looked more comfortable, where he could jump set, get hands on quickly, and then not allow the guys to build up like, that power, that momentum, because that's when he could struggle. But just get on guys quickly. I think he did a better job anchoring this year than he ever has, playing with better technique. Like there were some losses he had throughout the year, but it was never like a major issue for Miami. It was Brewer getting constantly beat in the passing game, which is just a great example of like, one, how he's a weapon, and two, you can really, I think Dolphins offensive line, like if you have a specific skill set, there's a great way to maximize. If you are like Brewer, there's a great way to maximize your strengths and a great way to minimize those weaknesses. So if they can get some solid guards next to them, maybe with, a little more power, but there's still more of like, that fit within there. I think, maybe one of the guys a little more athletic than the other, depending on which guard spot they want to do that at. But I think there's ways to get solid value in free agency on this O-line, and man, Brewer, absolute weapon, great example of that. I think last year's free agency was actually a really good example of that, like with the Johnny Smith signing, the Brewer signing, the Jordan Brooks signing. None of them really broke the bank, but were good value signed players that maybe, had their, value drop just a little bit because of recent seasons or things that had happened. Maybe they brought in new regimes, but they just ended up being perfect fits for what Miami wanted to do on both sides of the ball. So if you enjoyed the video, like, comment, and subscribe.